Brain and Spine Group is alive and well. I think, I hope, I don't know. We're going to talk about it. We got big plans for the year. So what we wanted to do, I'm joined by Mike Rollo, our Student Senior Executive Director of Education. I'm also joined by Nikki Barrington, our freshly minted Student Senior Executive Director of Research. Research, you may say, what's that all about? Because they're not used to hearing about that from Brain and Spine Group. Well, that's the point of today's meeting. We got big plans to not just keep doing the same great education we've always been doing in 2023. We have plans to expand our research portfolio. We have plans to really dig in and get involved in community service because as a nonprofit organization, Brain and Spine Group is ultimately committed to doing whatever it takes to improve brain and spine health. And we think that goes far beyond just education. It's really a three-phase approach. So I'm really happy to be joined with my leadership team for the organization today. So that way we can basically lay out what all of 2023 is going to look like for the organization. Because I think it's new, it's different. There's a lot of stuff that even people who know us well and are familiar with us aren't realizing, how much new stuff we're doing. We want to tell you about it. And then obviously we have a great community. We want to take questions. We want to hear, what parts of our strategic plan and our mission for 2023 you like, you don't like, your thoughts, your inputs. We're here to answer your questions. So welcome to the stream, everyone. If you have questions throughout, please just put them in the chat. We'll answer them. More than happy to do that. And obviously, if you want to get the year started off right, you can go ahead on over to our website and drop us a donation. We are trying to raise $15,000 by February 15th in order to get our veteran service programs up and running. Let's go ahead and get our website out in the chat for you. I think our producer Carlos could do that if you have a brief minute. There we go. There's the link, brainandspinegroup.org/support. If you want to leave a donation, help us reach that $15,000 goal by February 15th. If you can't donate, that's okay. You can still help us by going to the YouTube channel and subscribing. We just hit 10,000 subscribers. We're excited about it. So thanks for coming along for the journey. All right, now with all the spiel about what we're doing and all that yada, 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 I've already introduced both of you. Mike, how you doing this evening? Nikki, how you doing? Thanks for being with me as we get into our year ahead.
Good. Thanks for having us. And really excited to share all the big plans for BSG. It's kind of fun having worked up from being in a grant writing position, 3 years ago at this point, and now really seeing how much the organization has changed in that time. And obviously for you, that's even more so because it's been so much driven by your efforts.
It's a team effort. I mean, I guess if the guy who started it all ain't putting any effort in, why would anybody else? But the reason we actually are where we are today is because of the effort of everybody.
Sure.
So really, honestly, if anybody has anybody to be grateful for, it's me to everyone else in the organization because I can't do it alone. So thank you for your years of dedication and service to us there, Mike. It shows with everything you've accomplished for the organization and, obviously how you've ascended the leadership ranks and doing a great job, basically working shoulder to shoulder with me at this point. Nikki, welcome to the year. You excited? I know you're a little bit more of a freshman to the organization, but I think the fact that you're already in the leadership position you're in is a testament to, just how good of a job you've done in your short period of time.
Yeah, thank you. Super excited. I started with the NERV group. For anyone that doesn't know, that's our Neurosurgery Education and Research Virtual Interest Group. It's really kind of directed at underrepresented students in neurosurgery. And so that's kind of where my journey with Brain and Spine Group began. And I've just kind of continued on with all of my, research efforts. And I'm excited for what's going to happen this year. Lots of new ideas on the table.
So what exactly constitutes an underrepresented student in neurosurgery? Because that's, unless you are, honestly, that's a question even for probably other people in neurosurgery might not even realize there are underrepresented students in neurosurgery. What exactly does that mean? And what is NERV doing to kind of be an asset and a resource to those students? I'm going to give you the spotlight.
I would say that it's kind of a more broad definition than you would typically think about for just underrepresented students in general are certainly included in terms of minority students or first-generation students. But even more so beyond that, or in addition to that, any student that doesn't have ready access to neurosurgery, mentorship, research, if you don't, like me, have a home program at your institution, NERV is really trying to connect those students who otherwise may not be able to really explore surgery as a career with reasons that allow them to do that, whether that is connecting them to neurosurgery faculty and residents that can help mentor them along the way, or providing them with the neurosurgery research skills and opportunities that they might need to become competitive for the residency program application process. So really lots of different resources that we're trying to bring on board for anybody that is interested in neurosurgery but maybe doesn't quite know where to start.
That's great. And obviously, I can't take any credit for the founding of the NERV group. The NERV group started independently. I believe it was Eddie and Mike, right? They were the two founders. They've both since moved on, or now residents. And, I think they did a great job starting this group. They came up with the whole idea, the infrastructure, everything. And they were just two students without home programs who, not only did they start this great service for other students, but they started a service and they started it without resources. And in their effort to realize that they needed infrastructure and support, they came to me and Brain and Spine Group and basically asked if we would back the NERV program. And in that time, NERV has become a fully fledged part of Brain and Spine Group and is actually serving as really a key component of our new research initiatives. And so we're going to get into what our research initiatives are somewhere in the middle of the show, but that's just a little highlight of, NERV being such an important part of our organization now. And really, it's been, I think, a great example of how basically everything in Brain and Spine Group, everything we do, comes from the ingenuity, creativity, motivation, drive of a student. And I really can't think of anything that we do that did not originate at the student level or below. We were not started by fully practicing neurosurgeons. We were not started by people who had already made it in life. We were started by people that were really trying to find their way. And that's our ethos. We got grit, we got passion. We often lack experience, but that's okay because we got enough enthusiasm to make up for our lack of experience. And that's why I love, even on my stream, the Rad and Nordy show, when we talk about, we'll just go ahead and flip the cameras here a little bit to give Carlos his best fodder for video production post stream. When Josh and I started our live stream, BSG Live, and obviously BSG Live is expanding this year. We're going to talk about that. We really sat down. We said, who do we want to tell the world that we are? And I think the most important thing is, we're enthusiasts. We're many of us are educated or getting educated. We just love the brain and spine. We love taking care of people, being of service to people who have injuries and illnesses of the brain and spine. And that manifests in so many different avenues that, we come up with all these different programs, and it's born out of enthusiasm for what we do. So, all right. I think that's a really stellar introduction. We've already gone off on like 3 or 4 different tangents. What do you guys want to start with in terms of laying out our vision for 2023 for everyone? Should we just start at the beginning of our strategic plan and sort of work our way through? I think maybe we should talk a little bit about logistics, even though I think people are starting to see it. Maybe you're following our Facebook page or Twitter or YouTube, and you're like, hey, some of the color schemes are changing. Their logos are a little bit different. What's going on here? And we are in the throes, and I mean that in every definition of the word throes, of elevating and expanding the Brain and Spine Group brand. We did not want to change our name, but we wanted to use a brighter color palette, tweak the fonts a little bit. We're in the process of getting a new website up and going, which is a much harder process than probably any of us realized, but we're working on it. We're grinding away. So you might see the logo change or tweak a little bit here or there, but that's what's going on. We want to be fresh, we want to be new, we want to be relevant, and we want to share that with all of you. So, as you sort of start to see things shift and move a little bit, it's just a sign of us continuously growing, emphasizing our mission that goes beyond just education, right? Education is kind of where we started. It's what we're passionate about. We're always growing our education initiatives, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But we want to show the world, we want to show all of you in our community that we're committed to much more, committed to education. We're committed to research. We're committed to serving our community because we believe these are the three things that really make brain and spine health better for the world. So with that, let's get into your specialty, Mike. I'm going to give you a spotlight. Let's talk about our 2023 goal for education. Obviously, this is where we have our background, right? And so our goal for 2023 is to expand our education. We want to increase the reach of our neurosurgery education, and we want to start to break this niche that we've built for ourselves as being just neurosurgery educators. So as the lead of education, for the organization, tell us what's happening this year, what's exciting, what's coming up.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because we always talked about the Medical Student Neurosurgery Training Center being Brain and Spine Group's premier resource. Maybe we have to kind of relinquish that because we do have so much great work going on in the research and the service aspects. But we definitely, still want to devote resources into training and education. So we've got a jam-packed year of neurosurgical education. We've got our first weekend webinar that's going to take place next Saturday, the 21st. And that's going to be on leadership in neurosurgery, which is kind of the third iteration that we've done of that seminar, where we get to sit down, and hear from neurosurgeons at various levels of training and, across time points in their career, to hear how they became leaders in the field or how they're working to become leaders in the field. So that's going to be a really great way to start the year with a nice professional development topic. And then we're going to dive in at the end of January into the first of our seminar series, which is going to be on craniosynostosis, a pediatric condition. So we're going to hear from our pediatric neurosurgeons about what that condition is and how it's managed surgically and with other available options. And we're going to keep up that pace and really, go with a weekend webinar and a seminar series per month. That way we're, continuing to generate this great content for our neurosurgical aspirees or our folks wanting to go into that field. But we recognize that, neurosurgery is really such a small part of brain and spine health. And I apologize to the neurosurgeons out there who might be offended. But there's neurologists, there's psychiatrists, there's physical medicine and rehabilitation physicians who are all involved in brain and spine care. And in recognizing that, we really want to expand the breadth of our educational mission to include some of those other specialties. So we're going to be doing that, in some smaller bites. We're going to talk about some functional neurosurgical conditions over the summer. And this is going to be, really our first dive into kind of the psychiatric realm of things. And it's so interesting, in the sort of sci-fi aspect of neurosurgery, where we're really talking about being able to treat psychiatric conditions with surgical options. So that's going to be a really exciting portion that's going to be relevant to anybody interested in the clinical neurosciences, not just aspiring neurosurgeons.
I'm going to interject a quick question, even
Yeah.
though I know the answer to this question. But I want you to answer it for everyone out there. I am a very excited student, and I sign up for every single brain and spine group seminar. Do I go to the same website and sign up this year, just like I did every year in the past?
Yes, you're going to sign up on the same website, but you're not going to be directed to Zoom anymore. So this is one of our, super exciting.
What am I going to do without Zoom?
Yeah, we figured everybody was a little zoomed out after that whole, virus thing that happened in the past couple of years.
Virus thing? What was it? What?
Never heard of it?
No, never heard of it.
Must not affected over
here.
So yeah, we're going to transition over to, doing these YouTube live streams for the seminar series. And this is going to allow for what we hope to be, some more interaction, since we're able to stream to multiple platforms, and we can, reach more of a community there. So that's going to be a nice change, at least a change of scenery for everybody at the very least.
I think it'll be a nice change. I think the interaction will be unchanged. I think most of the, we've seen historically, I mean, that's the nice part about having done this for several years now. Students tend to engage with our lecturing faculty through chat anyway. There's different, more niche sessions where breakout groups and more intimate, like camera to camera, face to face conversations are happening over Zoom. So just to kind of touch on all the bases, we will continue to do some closed educational experiences where they are done on Zoom in breakout rooms and students are more directly interacting with faculty. But as Mike's been telling everyone now, that all that routine, like lecture-based content where students are really there being lectured to and just need the option to, ask faculty questions, we're going to do it all live right on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere we go live. That way you can join from wherever. And then obviously go straight to the YouTube channel afterwards, no fuss. And, I think that'll be fun without losing that sort of breakout group potential. So we'll still do that.
Yeah, you won't have to wait for your recordings now, so you'll be able to go and.
That is true. I guess there has been a delay. So yeah, now the recordings will be available instantly. So
yeah,
they might not be as like finely tuned as they were in the past, because we would, I guess we do edit a little bit, but that's neither here nor there. We're getting the nitty gritty details. It's going to be fun. It's going to be good.
Yeah, absolutely. So really exciting stuff. And, as we transition into at least hosting some of these other activities, we're definitely going to be looking at probably expanding that team and bringing on folks from, again, neurology fields, psychiatry fields, maybe rehabilitation fields to, round out the organization. So stay tuned for some potential opportunities with that type of stuff. On the other education side, of course, so we were talking about programming and live streaming, but we are going to continue to have that video library, and we're going to work on really curating resources this year. That way people are able to keep track in a more organized fashion of the videos and the content that we're putting out. And then they're able to go back.
You guys hear my keyboard when I'm typing to Carlos there, by the way? I'm just talking to our producer in the background a little bit. Oh, okay. I'll make sure I mute my microphone if I have to. Sorry about that. I'm being disruptive to our own stream. I apologize. Sorry to stop the flow of thought. Go ahead.
No, you're good. So yeah, we're going to try to, curate these resources. So for example, if you're a student who's, studying for their neurology shelf and they need to, focus on some content related to stroke syndromes, you'll be able to go onto the platform and start finding the videos that will get you the content that you need to round out that studying. So that's going to be an exciting aspect of our education platform.
I think bringing filtering and searching of our video content and to the new website will be a really useful feature for people really looking for targeted material. And then obviously, I guess this is kind of more in the research realm, because Brain and Spine Report kind of reports to our director of research, not education now, which is just a little organizational difference. Hopefully we should see more translation of written content in Brain and Spine Report to augment that video educational content. So there should be basically more robust ability to search through our website and our content in order to find the topics of interest that a student or even maybe a young professional needs access to. So we're excited about the new website. I think is going to bring a lot more like interaction and function for members of our community. Whereas right now, obviously, our website is, I think, dated a little bit. I don't think that's a secret to anyone. It's not built in a way that is, conducive to you being able to interact and gain value from interacting with our website. It's just sort of a place for finding announcements and basic information. So we're really excited about, I think the new website is going to be a big functional elevation for our for Brain and Spine Group.
Definitely. There's so much more that I could talk about that's on the academic calendar. But stay tuned, follow us on all of our socials and here on YouTube with the subscription to make sure that you stay up to date with all the educational content. And I'll turn it back to Ryan, and maybe we'll hear about some research.
All right. Do we cover everything in our strategic plan of education? Let me just double check. Yeah, I mean, we did. You covered it all. So what do you got, the notes in front of you or something? I thought surely I would have to interject. All right. So, Nikki, you're up. We're put you in the hot seat. Our director of research, a position that has never existed prior to this year. Albeit a lot of our research endeavors, a lot of the foundational work for Brain and Spine Group's research component has been in play already. There's a lot more to come, but it's not like when we sat down and said, okay, how is Brain and Spine Group going to start doing research? That really wasn't the question. It was, how do we take the research that we're already doing and how do we formalize it? How do we give it structure? How do we empower the individuals involved on those teams to do more? And so really that's, I think, the overarching goal of research this year is to formalize Brain and Spine Group's contributions to research. Things we've done in the past, if you didn't know, we published a special issue on medical student education in neurosurgery that was published in World Neurosurgery. That was a handful of articles, I think 5, 6, 7 articles off the top of my head, all on addressing various issues and data that we've collected as an organization, trying to help highlight and bring attention to problems in medical student education. I think it's not something that's talked about very often. And so we really took advantage of our opportunity to publish with World Neurosurgery for our research teams to put out as much information, data, and narrative, I would say, about these issues. And so we're excited to really take that sort of pre-existing little baby chicken of a research program and start creating a structure and an environment that, grows us a whole flock of birds. So you want to talk about this a little bit, or how do you want to lay this out? Or we could take a quick comment. Let's just see here. We got a big long comment here from Weedad. He says, "Hello, I'm a doctor from Algeria. I graduated months ago, and I have always been passionate about brain and spine, and I have been in love with brain surgery since the first time in my 4th year of medical university when my professor allowed me to ... It got cut off. Let me see here. What does it say in the chat? Allowed me in the OR. I saw the brain and I saw the brain close up. Thank you for this opportunity, sir, ma'am. I do apologize. I don't. Whoever you are and wherever you're from, thank you for joining us. It's our pleasure. We share your enthusiasm. I mean, I think everyone on this stream, everyone part of our team, we're here because we're enthusiasts. We're not here because we're obligated to be here. We're not here because we think there's some sort of like great ulterior motive that we're going to become rich and famous by running a nonprofit organization. We're here because we're passionate about improving brain and spine health. And I think that comes from a number of ways, but one of the really important parts of education is getting out there and talking to and being a resource for aspiring brain and spine doctors around the world. Because while we may have a gluttony of resources here in the United States, we certainly recognize that is not the case everywhere else in the world. In fact, I was actually very touched. I don't think it's been published yet. No, it has not. There was an article that was accepted for publication in world neurosurgery. I'm probably breaking some like privacy or copyright law or something right now. Who knows? Anyway, and then what I'll do is I'll give Nikki a break from the spotlight, since this is what I do. I'm a professional just running off in opposite directions. I get Nikki all excited to talk about our research programs, and then I just take us in a totally different direction. There was an article that was accepted for publication in World Neurosurgery. And this article was basically in response to one of our special edition articles that we published with the journal. And it was a group of students and young neurosurgeons in another country. I will not elaborate on that. It was outside the United States. And they basically were saying that they appreciated the work that we were doing and highlighted a battery of additional benefits to our work and how that is improving and empowering brain and spine doctors outside the United States, because they have such little resources. And that was like, to me, it was like mind blowing, because you lose sight of these things when you just live in this inundated world of academia that we're in the United States. So to hear that from someone, and then to receive their gratitude through this, officially published article, and then have the opportunity to respond to them in a formal correspondence way was, made me realize we're doing something special here with Brain and Spine Group. And so sometimes I'll be honest, this is just me being very candid. When you're in Brain and Spine Group every single day, working and grinding and trying to just build the organization, you almost lose sight of how special it is, because it's just, you're so surrounded by it that you're just doing it. You're like, of course, this is our job. This is what we do. But to step back and hear from people who are just touched by the work of the organization reminds us of really the special nature of why we do what we do. That's me just going on rambling. Not really aimed at any target. Let's bring Nikki back. Let's get into research. I've said enough. Okay. So our goal for 2023, we want to formalize our research. We want to do it with two objectives: by producing research and by funding research. So let's start with producing research. What are some of the things you've got planned for the research arm of the organization this year, Nikki?
So I want to bring in a lot more, going back to what Ryan was saying about our website, which is, of course, a bit more of a challenge than expected, but we really want to build in some productivity management software for our various research groups to really utilize and bring all of their projects to fruition as effectively as possible. So that's one big initiative for the upcoming year, is really organizing our various research groups around that. And also alluding again to the nerve group and what Mike was saying about bringing in other specialties. Our nerve cohort goes along with the academic year, so we'll be accepting a new cohort over the summer to start in the fall. We really want to bring in students that are not only interested in neurosurgery, which was the foundation of the group, but also neurology, psychiatry, et cetera, and really provide resources for those students to do research. And hopefully that would eventually include getting access to some big patient outcomes databases where students can pull that data and really answer a lot of their research questions related to neurosurgery, neurology, et cetera. And so shameless plug for our fundraising efforts, getting access to any of that kind of data.
Oh yeah, there's no such thing as a shameless plug. We're just plugging.
So every dollar that goes towards research can help our students to get that data and utilize it to hopefully look at various outcomes for different types of surgeries and procedures for patients, and ultimately to improve patient care, because that is, of course, our goal here, is to educate the next generation of neurologists, neurosurgeons, et cetera, and improve patient care in the process. And similarly, an initiative that Mike has actually been more involved with than me to date is our Early Career Neuroscience Virtual Research Symposium, which is happening on April 1st of this year. So we want to continue to expand that as well. We are accepting abstract submissions until January 28th, correct? And so again, looking for not just neurosurgery related submissions, but neurology, psychiatry, et cetera. So we could really have a venue for students to practice abstract writing, practice presenting their research, and hopefully interact with other students, residents, and faculty that are interested in those, or part of those fields, or also interested in those fields. So those are just a few different things that are coming up this year that we are hoping to expand on in future years and really provide a lot of resources for students, that particularly those that may not have those built in for them at their institution.
We got a question in the chat from Jill Davis. She says, how about applied behavior analysis? Well, it just so happens to be that I might have an answer to this question. We are so actually, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave this question up on the screen so we don't forget to get to it. But why don't we use this as an opportunity to have Nikki talk about our plans for formalizing our research groups. We talked a little bit about NERV, but obviously that's one research group. Our plan is to, why don't you kind of talk about our plan for the research groups, and then when we get to sort of some of the focus and direction of some of those groups, I think there is a group, I know there is a group that is working on some very interesting things about using applied behavior analysis adjacent methods to explore potentially new medical education methods. So why don't you say your bit first, and then I'll kind of expand on that.
Absolutely. So in addition to the NERV group, Ryan and Dr. Susan Panulo, who is one of our faculty advisors, have their own research group working on a variety of projects. And that's really where the project management is going to come in to try to, we have tons and tons of ideas that just kind of need to be brought to the finish line. And a lot of that focuses on neurosurgical or just in general medical education, neurotrauma research. And I guess that leads into Ryan expanding a little bit more on some of the projects that you guys have worked on and will continue to be working on.
Yeah, so as Nikki was saying, a big part of what we want to accomplish in formalizing research is, we have the NERV group, which, they kind of built themselves. And then we sort of had this other hodgepodge group of myself and some other students that were working on research projects. We have passions and interests in neurotrauma and neuroeducation. And that's what we were doing. So we said, why don't we just turn that into another research group? And now, bam, all of a sudden our organization, we have the NERV research group. We have my research group that I do jointly with Dr. Panulo. And this really set the model for what we want to do going forward. And we're going to be growing and expanding our, primarily student-run research groups. Each research group will have faculty and resident physician oversight, but the infrastructure will primarily be led by the students in that group. And what this has basically done is created virtual research groups, which is extremely doable in today's day of, virtual technology, remote work. There's so much data available out there to dig into. And so a big part of establishing these groups is expanding the number and scope of the groups. And also now, as Nikki's been talking about, bringing in resources for these groups to be more effective. And that's what, things like having databases and tools for project management and all those things, those formal tools that allow academics to do the research that they do, that will help, that's how Brain and Spine Group will help promote and encourage and facilitate a further output of research. And so my group that I do with Dr. Panulo, we have been collaborating with a behavior analyst, a couple of behavior analysts working to explore and potentially adapt a method known as precision teaching for medical education. And the rationale being that this method of education, this method of teaching, has a lot of empiric evidence that supports that it's effective and it works, and it's never been done in medical education. And I think it's as simple as saying, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel here, but can we learn from another field of education? Can we adapt their methods And can we find better educational outcomes in medical student education? And so that's what we're doing. So thanks for your question about applied behavior analysis. I appreciate it. So yeah, I'm excited to tell a little bit about what my group's doing. All right, so we've answered our question. Let's bring Nikki, you're back in the hot seat. Pick up where you left off. Let's see, what do we leave off at? We talked about our research groups, how we're trying to increase and grow our number of research groups. Sorry, I'm just glancing off to my notes here on the side. You talked about the research symposium. How's that going, by the way? I mean, how are submissions for the research symposium looking?
I think Mike's probably got some numbers on that. But in terms of the NERV group, I just want to also
how are the submissions looking, Mike?
Yeah, so we're getting to about 70 submissions, and we got abstract submissions open for another 2 weeks. So get your abstracts in. We'll be over 100 to break our last year's record.
All right. So we got plenty of abstracts being submitted for our research conference. All accepted abstracts will be published, right? I know this is a little bit, I mean, it's not really a question mark. It's really a question mark of when. You know, the development of the new website admittedly is holding up publishing of abstracts because we need our platform to publish in order to get them out. But every accepted abstract is going to become published on Brain and Spine Report. That way the work of the students is up there. It's on the internet. They can search it. They can Google it. They can copy it. They can paste it. They can link it. They can tell their mom. They can tell their dad. They can tell their big sister, their little brother, whoever they want that they're proud of their research, because we're proud of them too. We want to show it off. So we're really excited about that aspect. And we still have plans to get all the abstracts up on the new Brain and Spine Report starting from last year. We still need to get those published. Obviously, we've run into some publishing pipeline issues with the new website, but hopefully, eventually, we'll get these things fixed. This is what a day in the life of running a nonprofit organization is all about. We're constantly unclogging pipes and, getting things going. So let's see what else we got. Funding research. What kind of things do we want to do to fund research? That's the other piece of the pie. We've talked about producing research. How is Brain and Spine Group going to fund research in 2023?
We are one of our fundraising goals, again, to go back to why donations are really important for us, is we want to be able to fund student research and give awards to students to attend conferences or awards to students that present at our own research symposium. And we want to be able to eventually give students some grants and scholarships of their own to be able to conduct their own research. A lot of the students that come in, for example, through the NERV group are having to coordinate with their own institutions or other institutions to kind of fully bring their research projects to fruition, and we would like to eventually give them the resources to become kind of more independent with that. So yeah, definitely fundraising is incredibly important for us in that regard, and I wish research was easy to do, inexpensive, but unfortunately it's not. So
I think you're bringing a really important point that we don't necessarily realize. Students work incredibly hard to come up with interesting projects. Then they work their butts off in the lab or slaving over data. They create interesting results that help drive medicine forward, even if it's not, groundbreaking finding. Every new bit of data analysis moves medicine forward a little bit, moves the needle a little bit. And they write this paper, they write this abstract, they send it out. Professionals review it. They find it interesting and valuable, and they publish that work at their conference. And now a medical student who's racked with debt has to find a way to often pay upwards of thousands of dollars. It's not cheap to go to these research conferences and actually stand by the work that you've spent months or years producing. And it's an experience that students should have that is unnecessarily expensive for them. So we really want to put ourselves in a position where students that are working with our organization, moving research forward, are rewarded for it and able to go and actually have a little bit of their financial need met, maybe not initially entirely their financial need met, but maybe it would be nice if one day financially we were in a position as an organization where the financial need of all of our student researchers were met, that they could go to these conferences without the stress of how they're going to get there, where they're going to sleep, what are they going to eat. We can just cover the expenses for them and let them go and present their research. And the only way we can do that is if our community stands behind the work that we're doing and donates. You can do that at our website, brainandspinegroup.org/support. You can leave a donation. That will help us get students to conferences and make sure research is heard about, talked about, and pushed forward. So we've plugged that plenty. We got anything else in research we want to talk about, or should we kind of shift gears to our third and final chapter of 2023 ahead?
Yeah.
All right. I'm hearing we shift. All right, let's shift it into overdrive, my friends. You know why? Because the person in charge of community service, which is our third and final kind of pillar or arm or leg of the journey, if you will. This individual is really passionate. He's not the brightest individual, but he really loves what he does. I'm just kidding. It's me. Although I may not be the brightest individual, but I got enough passion to power a light bulb. Community service is a really important aspect of Brain and Spine Group's mission going into 2023. And that's because when I sat down with my team of leadership in preparation for this year, I really felt that we were missing this entirely from our organization. We had gone to great lengths to produce education all these years. While maybe we weren't doing the best job telling the world about it, we were working on research, but we were not really doing anything to be of service to our community of patients, veterans, military members with brain and spine injuries. And I took that personally because, for those of you who don't know, I am a Marine Corps veteran. That was my life before I became a doctor, before I did all of this. I was pounding sand in the Middle East with my 111 brothers, and I miss it all the time. They were some of the best and the worst days of my life. I've seen people hit with IEDs that have had terrible brain injuries from them. I have had friends have neck injuries that left them basically paralyzed, and these are really serious injuries. When you've seen these injuries firsthand, you see the impact not only that it has on the patient but the families. These are widespread problems. These are not focal problems that affect a single individual. And then as I became a physician and I started taking care of these patients, patients with spinal cord injuries and TBIs, and, you see tons of them where I was training, tons of them. It's really hard. And I just felt that as a nonprofit organization, we were missing the boat if we were not directly interfacing with these individuals as part of our mission to improve brain and spine health globally. And so that's why we are launching brand new programs aimed at being of service to our patients, military members, and veterans with brain and spine injuries and illnesses. We're doing this. Our patient support groups are starting March 24th. Is that correct? March 24th. And the way that this is going to work, we have a wonderful social worker that is collaborating with me. We are going to have in-person support groups that meet at a local office space that was donated to us. We're very grateful for that. And we're going to have both myself and a local social worker are going to be working with patients with brain and spine injuries 2 weeks out of the month, and the other 2 weeks out of the month. So myself will be working with patients every week, but every other week will be basically civilian patients, and then the weeks in between will be military and veteran patients. And we've separated the groups that way because we think there's there's a different nature to the injury, there's a different nature to the community, and then obviously as a veteran myself, I really wanted to hone in and be much more available on a one-on-one basis to our veteran patients with brain injuries and spinal cord injuries. And so while I don't have a date yet for it for the year, it will probably be around the March 24th timeframe, probably maybe push back a little bit into April. I will also be doing one-on-one appointments with veterans. This is all free of charge to the veterans. The point is to provide them with guidance, with allyship, someone that shares a common thread with them in life that can help them navigate the complexities of VA healthcare. VA healthcare is an incredibly challenging system to be a part of. As a veteran, I can only imagine that it is exponentially more challenging to navigate when your brain, the very thing that allows you to think and function and make smart decisions and be clever and creative and problem solving, when that thing is injured, navigating a system like the VA healthcare system can become even more challenging. And so I'm starting with one-on-one appointments in order to help my veteran colleagues that need it navigate the challenges of the VA healthcare system. And I will be joined by other veteran physician allies throughout the course of the year. I've got a number of, very close friends that are in this unique position where they were once a veteran. They've walked in those boots and now they've gone on to another career as being a physician. And so they share this sort of unique understanding of medical literacy to help provide this advocacy service to veterans. And so by doing this, by having patient support groups for, what's our civilian cohort of patients and separate groups for our military and veteran cohorts of patients, and offering this one-on-one veteran advocacy program, I think this really brings our community service mission to the forefront for our organization, and I think completes our three-pronged mission. I think the mission of Brain and Spine Group is coming into full focus this year in 2023. I'm really excited about it. So I think that's it. I mean, did I miss anything, guys? Anything else we want to talk about? I mean, we're working on a fundraiser. We think we're targeting May timeframe. We're going to put like a new spin on our previous virtual 5K and probably have an in-person fundraising event that can be joined virtually, something along the lines of a 5K hike, walk that will, bring in our entire community, from veterans to patients to families, caregivers, students, providers. And the goal is simply just to raise money to help Brain and Spine Group continue to improve brain and spine health globally. So, any parting thoughts from anyone?
I would just say, especially when it comes to education, we want to hear from our audience and people who regularly come to events about what they actually want to see as educational initiatives when we're crafting our calendars. So always feel free to reach out to us easily through our website. I don't know if maybe Carlos can put the contact form in the chat for people to access, but we welcome emails and contacts to make sure that we're catering our initiatives to meet your needs.
Let's see. We got a question here in the chat. So I guess on that note, we can transition, I guess, more to our town hall, even though we've been taking questions and comments throughout. This part is really intended to be more of a free form discussion with questions from the community. Let's see, what do we got? Which resources you suggest that I have access to and skills I should work on that will prepare me for this path, knowing that I decided to work in the ER while preparing for the exam to join neurosurgery residency? Okay, so we've got a motivated graduate who wants to be neurosurgery resident. The question basically boils down to what resources should I utilize to prepare? Well, obviously, I think the obvious answer is anything Brain and Spine Group has to offer. I know that is a very broad statement. It's not available in its fullest form on our current legacy website. But as over the course of the year, as we get our new website with these new features, there's going to be better video content, better article content, the ability to utilize Brain and Spine Group's website as a resource is going to increase drastically over the course of the year. So I would obviously recommend that. The other thing I would recommend, obviously, if you are, might be if you're just, very young professional making your way in, maybe a little more challenging. The Neurosurgical Atlas, I think that's what it's called. Their Neurosurgery Atlas is it's still free, right? That hasn't changed that you guys are aware of?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's still free.
Last I checked, it was all free. That being said, these things can change because funding free educational content is not easy. That's why we need our community to really step up and, help financially support what we do. But Neurosurgical Atlas is, at least as far as we know, a free resource. That resource is a little bit different in that who it's targeting are advanced practice level neurosurgeons. So if you're kind of more at that student entry, early career level, you might struggle to gain full educational value out of that resource. But obviously, there was a paper published by the Buffalo Neurosurgery Group in World Neurosurgery, I think within the last year or 2 years, where they surveyed trainees to ask them what the best online resources were for neurosurgery. And Neurosurgical Atlas was unanimous. I mean, obviously not unanimously. It was the highest ranked resource among all resources ranked by trainees. I'm very proud to say that Brain and Spine Group was included in their top 10 resources. I think we were number 6 or something like that. We were right in the mix with the Neurosurgery Red Journal and, JNS. These are like premier, long-standing giants of publication in neurosurgery. And, I always love when the football announcers say that the best way to interpret what a statistic means is look at the company that player shares that statistic with. And if those are Hall of Fame players, then that person's probably doing something right. And so that's how I interpret that. If they count us worthy to even include us on the same list as these, giant neurosurgical educational resources, then I guess we're doing something right. So hopefully that answers your question. If you need more resources, you can go and find that article. I believe Elad Levy was the senior author on that paper. I don't know who the first author was. His group, I believe, put it together, and they have a nice list of their top 10 highest ranked resources. Let's see. What else we got? Your educational content is amazing. And even at my level, thank you. Thank you. I don't know how we can even say to that other than just thank you. And it's our pleasure. You got anything you want to add to that, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a blessing to, see our educational content reach, especially beyond the U.S., where, like you talked about, we have so many resources, and it's borne out in the literature that in other countries, educational content online really becomes some of the primary resource for people when they're studying. So the fact that we can contribute to that, and to be able to contribute to that in a no fee kind of manner, that way people can access it freely, is outstanding. So thank you.
I know we're kind of cutting off the whole comment here. I'll just read it because it's, as we put it on the screen, it kind of cuts off a little bit. Imran says, I've been able to learn and review many important concepts, as learning is a lifelong journey. Thank you for all your efforts. So that was the full comment. It's our sincere pleasure. And then obviously we've got another thank you. Again, we're happy to do it, and honestly, your thanks, your gratitude, it keeps us motivated. Running an organization, grinding day in and day out, it can be exhausting. And, as we were sort of alluding to a little bit earlier, you lose sight of the passion sometimes. That's one of the things I love about this start of the live streaming that we're doing with BSG Live. It kind of disconnects you from the nitty gritty of running a business and a nonprofit organization and putting together these like very rigid academic courses, and you just get to talk about the fun stuff about the brain and the spine and the things that drew you in, before you got so far engrossed in this like formal educational path. But with that, if we don't have any more comments or questions, I'll just say one last time that we are relying on our community to help us execute this vision. This is our vision. This is our strategy that we've laid out. The only way we can do that, though, is with the support of our community. So if you can support us, you can go to our website, brainandspinegroup.org/support, and leave a donation. We're trying to raise, as part of our first phase of the year, $15,000 we need to raise by February 15th. That will allow us to continue doing what we're doing. If you can't support us yourself, share the link, tell family, tell friends. If you really want to start a fundraiser for us, go to a local business and ask them to donate to us. Tell us it's very important to you, and whatever you can do. We really do need our community to rally behind us and help us meet this goal of $15,000 raised by February 15th. If you can do that, we greatly appreciate it. Subscribe to our channel. That's another easy way to help. Don't leave without subscribing to our channel. Get notifications every time we go live. And tune in tomorrow night. We've got the Neurosurgery Journey podcast going to live stream status. So that'll be exciting. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're really excited to share our vision. We hope that you'll become a lifelong supporter and journey with us to improve brain and spine health. And we'll see you tomorrow night live. And then next week, we'll be back Wednesday and Thursday night. And the week after that, we'll be on live Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. I mean, we got nothing but nonstop content for 2023. It doesn't end. It's only starting now. So go ahead, support us, leave us a donation so that we can keep doing what we're doing, and tune in for the next one. We'll see you then. Have a good night, everyone.